Hey y'all, hi. So we have this weird little room. I originally thought that it would be my office. In this house, I was like, I can make this into my office and then we'll be able to maximize the rest of the space that we have. But it turned out that there's a lot about it that's not ideal for an office. There's good light at certain times of day, but at any given time, the light can be quite poor. It was dragging me down. It's very difficult to get in. Well, it's kind of challenging to get in and out of the room. The former owner of the house turned this former storage space into a functional room, but there's a vent that runs under the floor and it sticks up like most of a foot. Like there's a big step that you have to step over, and she just put flooring over that vent instead of digging into the floor and like rerouting the vent. So it's very weird, and for daily use, for going in multiple times a day, having to climb over and also having to bend down in order not to bump my head, it was getting to be kind of a lot. When we had guests, when that was my office, we had to put the guests in the other half of this room that we're in. Half of it is the filming studio, and the other half has been kind of like a multi-purpose space that we're figuring out. That was all we had for guest space left over. And that's kind of awkward for guests to be sleeping in the filming space. And we're planning to make the rest of this room into more filming space for fashion content. So that was going to be even more awkward for them to be like sleeping in the actual backdrop. So I decided that what made sense was for my office to be the function that became a hybrid with the YouTube fashion background, because that kind of does make sense. And then the little space, the super awkward space, I realized that actually does make sense as a dedicated guest room, because all of those less than ideal aspects of it, unreliable light, a little bit of discomfort and awkwardness when getting in and out of the room, that's fine for someone who's just staying for a couple of days. I also love it when people come to stay. I have so many really good friends who live really far away, and it has been a dream of mine to very easily be able to offer to host. I would also love for my cousin to have a place to sleep if she comes and babysits for us and we go out at night, say out dancing tango. And it would be great for, I don't know, my sister's partner to have a place to sleep if he brings their infant over and I'm holding the baby and he needs to rest. So even though I originally thought that a dedicated guest space would be a poor use of space because it's only occasionally used, I realized on second thought, after being in the house for a while, that it's not a waste to have a dedicated guest space that's always set up and always ready. Then I had the aesthetic vision. The aesthetic vision, my friends. Piece number one of the aesthetic vision, leave the rug, which was originally my really special rug that I acquired for my office. It's an authentic Moroccan rug. It's vintage. It's actually really old. It's very colorful, and I've loved that for my office space for a long time, but I'm kind of personally moving in a more restful direction color-wise for my own spaces. So it makes sense to leave the rug, and it makes that little guest room really, really exciting and beautiful. Leave the rug. Use my leftover paint from my old YouTube background, which was Pharaoh and Ball Dead Salmon. I had like 3/4 of a can left. Dead salmon is an extraordinary color, and I'll talk about it in more detail when I'm going through the painting process later in the video. I realized I could bring in these like woven pieces that we had elsewhere in the house, this big woven basket that was useful in our LA apartment we hadn't really found a use for here, and this large woven wicker bench that Ikea carried for a hot second several years ago that didn't really have a place anywhere else in the house. We have these bedside tables from Ikea that we've used for years, but in this house, in our bedroom here, they don't fit. I realized I could use this amazing marble lamp with a warm bare bulb that we have, also an Ikea combination, also something that we just haven't found a place for in the house yet. A really beautiful piece, I think. We have these floor pillows made from rugs that we have had for like 10 years. They were really my style when I got them about 10 years ago, but not so much anymore, so they have just been languishing. But they go really well with the rug and kind of with the vibe that was coming together in my mind. And then I began to imagine a really cozy, fluffy bed. We didn't have a bed, like a guest bed, but I imagined I could get just a sweet little platform bed and kind of tuck it under the window. And then I got super excited and I was like, full steam ahead. It's going to come together. It's happening. And we had almost everything that we needed already in the house. So originally we were going to use these super cheap IKEA mattresses that we had. They were like part of a day bed that we don't have room for anymore. So we're going to get rid of it. It's like on my to-do list for this weekend to get rid of it because it's taking up space in the other half of this room that I need for my office. Anyway, it had these really basic kind of uncomfortable mattresses stacked on it that we were going to transfer to the guest room, which would have been fine. But then a wonderful thing happened, which is that I connected with Birch Living, a mattress company that uses organic and natural materials. Here's the thing. When my toddler outgrows his crib bed, eventually we're going to need a real bed for him, like a couple of years down the line, but the day is going to come. And when that day comes, I most definitely want something without off-gassing, without polyurethane foam in it, without fiberglass in it, no VOCs. Birch Living is exactly the kind of mattress company that I would be looking at to get a mattress for my baby when he needs a real mattress. So I was like, Birch Living, do you want to sponsor the guest room makeover video? And Birch Living was like, yes, we do. And they sent this mattress. So I'll tell you about the experience with the mattress. Delivery was really quick. It came all rolled up in a box. It was pretty easy to move around, like a 2-person job to bring it up to the top of the house and into the awkward little room over the step. It was fine. And then a 1-person job to unroll it and like get it in place. I did it myself. As soon as I broke the seal of the package and got it unrolled, it literally sprang into place, fully formed in less than a minute. It's not like one of those solid compressed foam mattresses that take hours to inflate and smell weird. It's made with steel coils, natural latex, organic cotton, and organic wool. So in literal moments, it was fully formed, solid, pillowy and soft, but with a supportive infrastructure. I cannot believe how easy the setup was and how substantial the mattress is. And the best part to me is that there's absolutely zero off-gassing. You can just tell that it's made from natural fibers and that Birch Living is meticulous about that and about construction. They have their own manufacturing facility, which is totally fiberglass free. The materials are responsibly sourced. There's no smell, no need to air it out. And that makes me feel so good about having it in the house and offering it to my guests and to my kid. With the plush pillow top on the Birch Luxe mattress, the whole vibe is very luxurious, pillowy, and enveloping. Absolutely perfect for making guests feel relaxed and welcome. Like, I cannot wait for someone to come stay so that I can be like sleep in this soft, enveloping, welcoming, cozy spot. I think Birch Living is an amazing mattress option. You also get 100 nights sleep trial, so you can really test it and make sure that it suits you, and a 25-year warranty, and shipping is of course free, and 2 of their Eco Rest pillows made with recycled materials free. My link for all of that will be at the top of the description box down below, and thanks again to Birch Living. So the room, when I realized that I was going to do this project, when I had the vision and then I started working on it, it was a total mess. Like storage, but even worse than storage because there was no sense of organization. It had essentially been storage, but stuff had been moved into it and then out of it and then into it, out of it, into it many times over because of the shifting situation of like who was living in our house, who was staying in our house, where I was working, the process of settling in. I don't know. I have no excuse, okay? It was a disaster scene. So first I took everything out, which was like its whole own project. But I was very motivated because I wanted to paint. I feel, someone once said to me, paint is the thing that you can do for the least money that has the biggest impact on a room. The relationship between cost and maybe even labor, although labor isn't nothing, as I learned, even in a little room like this. But maybe they were just talking about cost and to a degree effort, right? Or what the labor might be worth and impact. And in this space, I don't know, I could imagine some people being like, oh, it's just the guest room, we don't need to paint it. The vision of how it would be when painted was the driving force, the motivating factor, and the fact that I had most of a gallon of dead salmon and that I love that color so much. And I felt like it was the perfect color for a cozy space like this. It has bad light a lot of the time, but when the light is good, it really hits. And I feel like that is the kind of space in which dead salmon really shines, because it's one of those magical Pharaoh and ball colors that looks really different in different kinds of lighting and depending on the time of day, etc. Sometimes it looks brown, sometimes it looks dark brown, sometimes it looks dark purple, sometimes it looks so pale pink that it's almost washed out, like almost a shade of white. It's definitely in the mocha mousse family. It gives mocha mousse at certain times of day. It looks really different when it's got artificial light on it as opposed to natural light. The shadows look like totally different paint color from where the light is hitting, no matter what the light is. It's just so dynamic. And you know, that dusky brownish pink is everything I ever wanted in a color, especially a paint color. So I could not wait to get that dead salmon up on the walls. Inconveniently, the dead salmon that we had, that gallon, was from before Pharaoh and Ball released their new finish, their new paint, Dead Flat, which is a really, really flat, chalky color that's a sturdy paint. Old, super flat, matte, chalky paint from Pharaoh and Ball, the Estate, which one was it called? Estate Emulsion? No. Yeah, it was Estate Emulsion. I was right. I have like a Pharaoh and Ball catalog in my brain, even when I don't realize it. Pharaoh and Ball, it's just this fancy paint company, okay? I mean, they originally kind of made a name for themselves with this really chalky matte, very, very flat finish. I love it. On their site, it says very matte with a distinctive chalky finish. It minimizes imperfection and creates a beautiful depth of color. And that's the thing. It's so good because it doesn't reflect light that puts a glare on it and kind of, I mean, this is my theory, sort of inhibits your ability to really see into the color. It just makes it so you can kind of fall entirely into the enveloping color. It's just pure color because it's so matte. However, that original matte paint from Pharaoh and Ball is very sensitive to the oils of fingertips, couldn't really be cleaned with water. It was like so ridiculous. It's very sensitive paint. Once it's up on the wall, you have to be really careful not to get it messy. So it's best for areas that aren't high traffic areas, but it used to be the only option. Now they have Dead Flat, which when we painted the other rooms in our house, that's what we used. It has the same finish, but it can be wiped and washed and, you know, it's like normal paint. The dead salmon that we had was from back in the day. It's the Estate Emulsion. Hopefully it won't get too scuffed and too fingerprinted. It's not ideal given that every wall is basically like right here. You know what I mean? I feel like it's hard not to touch any of the walls and or the ceiling in that room because it's all very low and close. But it was what we had. I wasn't going to go buy new paint when we had this. Perfect in every way except for that one. And if it becomes an issue, I'll just paint over it with more or I'll repaint it with the new Dead Flat. But I think it's going to be fine. It took me most of a gallon though to do it. I feel like it's a really small room and I was like, oh, it's going to be easy and it's not going to take much paint. But there are all of these weird nooks and crannies and it took a really long time. Like it took me multiple sessions of doing it during the baby's nap time, on the weekends, and sometimes I think after bedtime. It was really tiring. Like I got sore doing it. It took weeks because I had to steal these moments when I could spend enough time that it made sense to like get on my overalls, get messy, like get all of the stuff out, get the paint out and do it and then clean up. And it had to be a long enough chunk of time that it made sense to do that. And I just don't have that many chunks of time like that, you know? So I had to steal them when I could. And that meant it took a lot longer than I expected. And it took more hours than I expected. And it took more paint than I expected. I was absolutely scraping the bottom of the can by the end. And there are still some places that are a little patchy and I would have liked to go over with one more coat. You know, again, it's fine. It's just the guest room. It's going to be fine. And if it ever really, really bothers me, I can go get like a little quart and just do another coat. But it looks good. The paint looks so good. It has turned it into, in again, one fell swoop, a room that feels totally intentional and very habitable. It has turned it from what did feel kind of like an awkward part of an attic that should just be used for storage, but that somebody's stuck a bed into, like that's how it would have felt. Turned it from that into what feels like an extremely habitable, cozy, intentional, artistic, designed space. So it was totally worth it. The painting was really what made this whole project what it is. However, the rest of the steps also kind of took longer than I had expected them to. I found this bed frame. I want to say it was like under $200 or something. It was a little bit more than what like the cheapest bed frame. And the reason, by the way, that we didn't use the day bed that we have, like that would have been the obvious thing to do. The frame comes up kind of high. There was no way to fit it in there. It had to be a platform bed that didn't have a headboard. Day bed has like this back with arms. It wouldn't have fit. So that's why we are getting rid of our day bed and was one of the few things that I purchased, a platform platform bed. I didn't want it to look like the cheapest platform bed at Ikea. Like, I think I could have probably gotten one for $50 at Ikea, but it's just, especially because we didn't have to spend too much money, right? I didn't have to buy paint, didn't have to buy a rug or almost anything. I felt good about getting a really solid, well-made, pretty platform bed. And for a bed frame, you know, $200 still isn't that much. I'll link the one that I got. I really, really like it. And it wasn't very hard to put together, except that it came without a nut. Is that what it was? I think it was like a nut that you screw onto a bolt. There were supposed to be 4, and they were incredibly important to holding the entire frame together, like these really big, sturdy pieces that needed to be there. And there was only one. And it wasn't somewhere else in the box. I looked. It wasn't one of these situations where they had like taped it to a secret compartment, because the bag that it was supposed to be in had 1 in it, and it was labeled. And on the diagram, it showed that there were supposed to be 4 in that bag. There was only 1. It was very difficult. Joe had to go to the hardware store like 3 times to find what we needed. And you know, you can't just pick up and go to the hardware store when you have a kid and so many tasks and the day's already calendar blocked, which is the only way that we can get anything done around here. Again, he had to like sneak and steal moments to go to the hardware store to find the thing. And so I was like putting the bed frame together, and I was like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be put together. It's almost done. The whole thing's almost done. Then it was like days later when he had finally gone to the hardware store enough times to get what I needed, and I was able to finish putting the bed frame together. I've been working on this for the better part of my young life, it feels like. Anyway, I love the bed frame. Now that it's together, I forgive everything. I forgive them. Their shoddy, I don't know, quality control or whatever. So it's like someone was packing bed frames and just ran out of this crucial part, and they were like, too bad. Just gonna pack this one without it. They'll figure it out on the other end, which we did. So I guess it's fine. The next step was the mattress, which I've already covered. What a dream. It was really starting to come together when I got the mattress in there. And I will say, in between all of this, when the room was half done, my sister had a baby, and both of my parents came into town at different times and stayed with us at different times. The project was put on pause, but the room got used as a guest room. We didn't have bedding yet, didn't have the mattress yet. So we used the, now I think, terrible ones. They're like mattresses, and then there are these like mattress toppers that were made out of memory foam, which made it softer. They were all very floppy and separate, and it was like the Princess and the Pea in there, like all of this stuff layered on top, and it would get off center. And so I used sheets that my mom brought because we didn't have the right size sheets, and like put it over the whole mess, but it was just a mess. It was very cobbled together, and that had been the plan. When that happened, and you know, it was fine. Both stayed there and it was totally fine. By the end of that process, I was so grateful that Birch was sending a mattress, because I was like, this will not do. Like, this isn't my fantasy. This isn't my guest room fantasy. It isn't the dream that I was imagining when I thought about the finished space. Having a real mattress in there makes a big difference. So we got the mattress, and now, my friends, it's time to discuss the bedding. I agonized over the bedding because I love moody, dark bedding. The bedding that we have for our bed, Joe and I, one set is like a deep ochre. It's like a mustardy ochre. And the other set is like a dark burgundy raisin, but brown. It's not a wine. It's called raisin, and it was totally just the color of a raisin. That tells you everything you need to know. There were so many exciting bedding options that drew me in. Just imagineering the space from scratch. I thought that I wanted like a brown velvet box quilt. I thought I wanted burgundy linen. For a hot minute, I thought I wanted like printed bedding for the guest room. When I thought about the bedding in isolation, I was like, there's so much amazing bedding in the world. There's so much extraordinary bedding. I could just get this like wild bedding, you know, like I had stars in my eyes, and that was the route down which I originally went. I pulled myself up short. I sat myself down. I really thought it through, and I'm so glad I did that. When I really thought it through, I realized, and this is kind of the heart of the takeaway of the project for me, there was so much other color and texture in the space, and it was causing it to kind of lean boho a little bit because of the items that I already had in the house that I bought, again, like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when I was more into that colorful, dynamic type of decor. And they're beautiful pieces, beautiful enough and useful enough definitely to be worth keeping. But cramming them all together like that, the rug, the wicker, the basket, the bamboo, like into a tiny space, was making it feel pretty bright and textured and almost a little bit too flea flea market, or at least close enough that it could have been tipped over the edge quite easily. And I realized that the bedding was a chance to kind of soften and balance all of that and make it feel sophisticated and intentional instead of too much. But in order to do that, I had to scale back with my bedding choices. So I went with these soft mocha mousse shell tones. Again, very dead salmon, very aligned, very monochromatic all together with dead salmon. And the textures are more contained and organic modern, you might say. The linen is a toffee linen from Quince, and the coverlet is also from Quince. It's like the cotton ribbed. Of course, I will link everything. It's so beautiful. The colors of the bed, the way it came together, it's so beautiful. And then this amazing wool throw blanket that Everlayer sent to me. It's reversible, so it's dark brown on one side and it's kind of a softer brown on the other side. It is so soft to the touch, so luxurious, and the guest space is just the perfect place for it. We have an Everlayer blanket on our bed. It's the waffle blanket, the like cream colored waffle one that I talked about in my gift guide this year. I have been very impressed by Everlayer when it comes to like the finishing pieces for a bedscape. In another space, I feel like this would be very minimal bedding, like very minimalist, extremely simple, which is nice. Like it's not like it wouldn't be nice. It would be nice anywhere. But in this space in particular, I feel like it's simple enough to work with anything. So it works with the other stuff that's in the space, but it also kind of balances it and calms it all down. And once I got the bedding on the bed and I kind of stepped back and looked, I felt so pleased with how it had come together. It started really giving hotel vibes a little bit, like boutique hotel vibes. I feel like the calm choices on the bed made the wicker and the woven basket and the riotous rug feel more elegant, fancier, more intentional, because there's like this cleanliness and serenity around them so they can each shine instead of all just being noisy. I feel like the design lesson for me, what I learned from going through it and what I learned from looking at the room, has to do with that kind of balancing, and also maybe being willing to work with shades of your past aesthetic self. So much that's in that room feels a bit past self to me. And, you know, it would have been easy to be like, oh, these pillows aren't my style anymore. This wicker isn't my style anymore, which isn't entirely true. I actually feel like the wicker could work with my current style combined with the other things, right? Just to be like, oh, it's a little bit too to itself, too much. It would have been easy for me to be dismissive like that and just really want to have the pendulum swing all the way to the other side. Wipe it all out and start from a really fresh slate and then spend like a ton of money buying brand new stuff to make the room into like the organic modern Pinterest board or something like that. That's not quite what I would have done, but you know, make it look a little bit like a CB2 ad or something. But I'm so glad that I didn't do that, because the way that it came together with a bit of restraint and with some careful choices gave all of those pieces such a vibrant and still to me very pleasing second life. All of the choices that I made now, like the choices that are new, the paint, the bedding, the lamp that I put on the side table is actually a more recent acquisition, those kinds of things, those show my current preference for simplicity, monochromatic moodiness, taupe, like mocha mousse, beige. Those show my current preferences. This project revealed to me that rather than erasing the old and imposing the new, it's possible for the two to work in balance, to work together, and actually to create something that's richer and more layered and has more of a sense of history and more of a lived in and sturdy sensibility than a room would if I just started from a blank slate and just put all new stuff in it. So I think that it's fair to say, although it's a bit hyperbolic, that I could not be more pleased with how it came out. It was especially fun going around and putting all the finishing touches in there. I got these light gray guest towels because I like the idea of having the guest towels be a different color than our towels so that I can always know which ones they are and just wash them and reset them for guests every time. All of our towels are white, which keeps things really simple for laundry in the rest of the house because we can just wash all of the towels together. But these ones are absolutely perfect for guest towels. And we have a pair of guest slippers that kind of fit everyone. So we put those in there, some lotion on the side table, just a couple of little things to make it feel more boutique-y, which I didn't necessarily expect to be able to offer guests. You know, my friends will like sleep anywhere and they're totally fine. But what a joy to be able to do that. What a joy to be able to make somebody feel as comfortable as you truly possibly can, and even a little bit pampered when they come to stay, when they come to stay and watch your toddler for you so that you can film YouTube videos, honestly. It's really what my friends have to expect when they come here. So that's it. Let me know what you think. The B-roll, the imagery, will probably tell you a lot more than I can in the words that come out of my mouth, because it's really about how the space came together. It's so exciting to be able to do this on YouTube, starting with a little tiny space. I could do this with other rooms. I could go back and talk about how other rooms in the house came together, rooms that still need to come together, of which there are many. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Thank you again so much to Birch Living for agreeing to sponsor this video that was already in the works and to send a mattress, which it turned out that we desperately needed. Once again, click through my link below and check out Birch Living. I am a big fan of what they're doing, and they're good to know about in what I think can kind of be the overwhelming world of online mattress shopping. Don't forget to subscribe if that is your intention, and don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.